The Richest Man in Babylon, full audiobook summary, opening tone, calm, warm, timeless, music suggestion, soft harp or oud music with a gentle rhythm. In the ancient city of Babylon, amidst its golden domes, grand ziggurats, and bustling markets, lie timeless principles of wealth, wisdom, and prosperity. These are not merely tales of coin and commerce, but enduring truths etched into the soul of humanity's desire to thrive. This is the story of the richest man in Babylon, as told by George S. Clason, a man whose insights have guided generations toward financial clarity, prudence, and abundance. Chapter 1. About the author. George S. Clason. George Samuel Clason was born on November 7, 1874, in Louisiana, Missouri, in the United States. His early life reflected the values of post-Civil War America, discipline, hard work, and the transformative power of knowledge. He attended the University of Nebraska, where he cultivated a lifelong interest in literature, economics, and military history. His academic background was diverse, but it was his service in the Spanish-American War that exposed him to the discipline of military order, planning, and long-term thinking, traits that would shape his financial philosophy. Following his military service, Clason entered the publishing business. In 1926, he founded the Clason Map Company in Denver, Colorado, which produced the first road atlas of the United States and Canada. Yet, his most enduring contribution was not in cartography, but in the financial wisdom he published. In the early 1920s, Clason began writing a series of pamphlets offering financial advice. These were distributed by banks and insurance companies and were based on parables set in ancient Babylon. The stories resonated widely. Readers, whether poor or prosperous, found clarity and direction in his parables, which used simple characters and memorable metaphors. These pamphlets were eventually compiled into what we now know as The Richest Man in Babylon, published officially in 1926. George Clason passed away in 1957, but his legacy continues. His ideas, framed through ancient storytelling, have stood the test of time, embraced by educators, financial advisors, entrepreneurs, and ordinary readers across the world. Chapter 2. Background and Historical Context. To appreciate Clason's masterpiece, we must first understand the world he conjured, Babylon. Babylon, the wealthiest city of the ancient world, rose to prominence on the banks of the Euphrates River in Mesopotamia, in what is modern-day Iraq. Known for its grandeur, its code of Hammurabi, the Hanging Gardens, and its early innovations in mathematics and commerce, Babylon was the birthplace of structured finance. Clason used this ancient setting deliberately. He believed that the fundamentals of money, earning, saving, investing, and guarding wealth transcend time and culture. By placing his lessons in a civilization from 4,000 years ago, he emphasized their universality. In the 1920s, when Clason wrote these parables, America was in the Jazz Age, a period of wealth expansion but also financial recklessness. Many Americans borrowed freely, lived beyond their means, and invested blindly. The stock market crash of 1929 and the Great Depression that followed would soon prove the danger of ignoring financial discipline. Clason, through his Babylonian characters, advocated a timeless alternative: financial prudence, self-discipline, and wise investing. His parables became a quiet revolution, an antidote to the get-rich-quick schemes that dominate every generation. Chapter 3. The power of parable. Clason's genius lies not in the complexity of his ideas, but in their simplicity. His characters, Arkad, Dabasir, Kobi, and others, represent universal archetypes. The struggling worker, the disillusioned debtor, the wise teacher, the impatient youth, the wealthy man burdened by responsibility. Rather than teaching through technical charts or equations, Clason uses story because story sticks. Just as Aesop taught virtue through animals and fables, Clason teaches wealth through Babylonian parables. Each tale is short but packed with insight, guiding readers to reflect on their own lives and decisions. Chapter 4. The 7 Cures for a Lean Purse. One of the most enduring sections of the book is titled The 7 Cures for a Lean Purse. These represent Arkad's teachings to the people of Babylon who wish to grow wealthy. Let's explore each one in depth. 1. Start thy purse to fattening. For every 10 coins thou placest within thy purse, take out for use but 9. This principle is simple. Pay yourself first. Save at least 10% of all income before spending. It is the foundation of wealth creation. Clason emphasizes that wealth begins not with income, but with habit. Regardless of how much one earns, if one spends it all, there is no accumulation. Saving that initial 10% creates financial muscle and discipline. 2. Control thy expenditures. Confuse not the necessary expenses with thy desires. This lesson teaches the danger of lifestyle inflation. As income grows, many are tempted to spend more. But Clason warns that undisciplined spending leads to financial ruin, no matter the earnings. Needs and wants must be clearly separated. Budgeting is key, not to restrict joy, but to empower freedom. 3. Make thy gold multiply. Put each coin to labor so it may reproduce its kind. Once saving becomes habitual, the next step is investment. Money should not lie idle. It must work. Through interest, dividends, or profits, each dollar should birth more dollars. Clason encourages readers to understand compounding, the miraculous power of money multiplying over time. 4. Guard thy treasures from loss. Invest only where thy principal is safe, where it may be reclaimed if desirable, and where thou wilt not fail to gain a fair return. This principle underscores prudence and due diligence. Many lose wealth chasing unrealistic gains. Arkad advises caution. Avoid schemes that promise much and deliver little. Consult with the wise. Invest where knowledge, not hope, governs decisions. 5. Make of thy dwelling a profitable investment. Own thy home. This teaching reflects the value of property ownership. While not universally agreed upon in modern finance, Clason believed that owning one's residence creates security, pride, and stability. Rent is seen as expense, while ownership builds asset value over time. 6. Ensure a future income. Provide in advance for the needs of thy growing age and the protection of thy family. This refers to retirement planning, insurance, and legacy building. A wise person looks ahead, preparing not just for themselves, but for loved ones. This is financial foresight. 7. Increase thy ability to earn, cultivate thy own powers, study, and become wiser. Education and self-improvement are key to financial growth. Arkad insists that one's ability to earn is the engine of prosperity. The more valuable a person becomes through skills, knowledge, and reputation, the more wealth they can attract and manage. These 7 cures form the foundation of Clason's philosophy. They are timeless, flexible, and universally applicable. Part 2, Chapter 5, The 5 Laws of Gold. Following the 7 cures, Clason introduces another powerful set of principles, the 5 Laws of Gold, as taught by Arkad to his son and other eager listeners. Where the 7 cures focus on building wealth, these laws emphasize how to preserve and grow it. 1. Gold cometh gladly and in increasing quantity to any man who will put by not less than 1/10 of his earnings to create an estate for his future and that of his family. This law reiterates the principle of saving first. Gold is not earned by working harder alone, it is attracted through discipline. Saving a minimum of 10% consistently builds a foundation for future abundance. 2. Gold laboreth diligently and contentedly for the wise owner who finds for it profitable employment, multiplying even as the flocks of the field. This law extols the virtue of investment. When savings are wisely invested, they begin to multiply, generating more gold without labor. The idea of money working for its owner is foundational to financial independence. 3. Gold clingeth to the protection of the cautious owner who invests it under the advice of men wise in its handling. Clason warns us to seek advice from the experienced before committing capital. Trust in knowledge, not in charisma or excitement. Wealth sticks to those who think carefully before they act. 4. Gold slippeth away from the man who invests it in businesses or purposes with which he is not familiar or which are not approved by those skilled in its keep. This law teaches that ignorance is expensive. Many lose wealth because they invest in ventures they do not understand. Clason encourages us to stay within our circle of competence and to avoid speculation. 5. Gold flees the man who would force it to impossible earnings, or who followeth the alluring advice of tricksters and schemers, or who trusts it to his own inexperience and romantic desires in investment. Greed blinds the foolish. Promises of quick returns often lead to financial ruin. This final law is a stern warning. Gold has no tolerance for the impulsive, the greedy, or the naive. Chapter 6. The parable of the riches of Arkad is the central character in the book. His story is both simple and profound. Once a humble scribe, Arkad rose to become Babylon's richest man. His friends, Dabasir the chariot builder and Kobi the musician, ask him how he attained such wealth while they remained poor despite years of hard labor. Arkad explains, "I found the road to wealth when I decided that a part of all I earned was mine to keep." He began by saving 1/10 of his earnings. Slowly, he learned to live on the rest. Then, he invested his savings, failing at first, but eventually succeeding as he gained wisdom. This parable establishes the threefold path to wealth: earn wisely, save diligently, invest prudently. Arkad is not depicted as a genius or heir to fortune. He is simply disciplined, teachable, and consistent. His wealth grew not overnight, but over time, through repeated good habits. Chapter 7. The Tale of Dabasir, the debtor who found redemption. Another powerful parable is the tale of Dabasir, a man burdened by debt. Once a free man, Dabasir squandered his money and fell into slavery. He became hopeless. But while in servitude, he had a revelation. He was not born to be a slave. He resolved to reclaim his freedom and dignity. Eventually, Dabasir escapes and returns to Babylon. There, he devises a plan to repay his debts using a strict division of income. 70% for living expenses, 20% to repay debts, 10% for savings. He approaches his creditors with humility and honor, explaining his plan and promising regular payments. Over time, Dabasir regains his reputation and becomes a respected man once more. This parable delivers a powerful message. Debt is not a death sentence. Through structure, discipline, and resolve, anyone can rise again. Chapter 8. The Gold Lender of Babylon. This parable features Rodan, a spearman who receives a large sum of gold from the king for bravery. Uncertain how to use it, Rodan considers lending it to his sister's husband to start a business. However, he visits Mathon, a wise moneylender, to seek advice. Mathon teaches Rodan that character and capability matter more than affection when lending money. A lender must not be swayed by emotion. Better a little caution than a great regret. Mathon explains that money lent without wisdom is often lost. He shares examples of good and bad borrowers from his experience. The lesson: don't risk your hard-earned wealth on the dreams of others unless their competence and integrity are proven. Chapter 9. The Camel Trader's Wisdom. This brief parable is about Tarkad, a young man who is hungry and broke. He meets Dabasir, now successful, who offers him food, but also a lesson. Dabasir tells Tarkad about his journey from despair to financial responsibility. He reminds the young man that courage, not pity, transforms a man. Where determination is, the way can be found. The story encourages readers to rise above shame and start again, regardless of past mistakes. Chapter 10. Babylonian Business Principles. One of the underrated themes in Clason's work is business ethics. Arkad, Dabasir, and others succeed not through deceit, but through honor, fairness, and service. They value reputation more than riches and understand that long-term wealth is sustained by trust. For instance, lending is done with contracts and caution. Businesses are evaluated based on skills, not sentiment. Honesty and humility are praised, not pride. These lessons remain highly relevant. In today's world of credit cards, digital trading, and complex finance, Clason's ancient simplicity is refreshing and deeply effective. Chapter 11. The Importance of Teaching Youth About Money. A major subplot in the book is Arkad teaching his own son and a group of young men about finance. He believes the earlier one learns these principles, the stronger their foundation will be. Through a series of challenges and letters, Arkad lets his son fail, struggle, and eventually succeed. The son learns that gold is easily lost without wisdom, that advice from the wise is more valuable than treasure, that mistakes are teachers when faced with humility. This educational process is perhaps Clason's subtle call to parents and societies. Financial education must begin early. Chapter 12. The Walls of Babylon, a metaphor for protection. In one of the final stories, the walls of Babylon are under attack. The people panic, but the guards and generals stay calm, prepared for such an event. The metaphor is powerful. Build walls around your wealth. These walls include emergency funds, insurance, legal protections, trustworthy advisors. Clason reminds us that wealth not only needs to be created, but guarded. The storms will come. Only preparation preserves peace. Part 3, Chapter 13. The Lucky Investor, a parable of chance and preparation. Among Clason's less discussed parables is one where a character believes that luck is the defining factor of wealth. He observes others around him attaining riches and attributes their success to fortune rather than discipline. In this dialogue, Arkad explains, "Opportunity is a haughty goddess who wastes no time with those unprepared." This metaphor reveals Clason's deep belief. Luck favors the prepared mind. A man who saves, learns, and plans is ready when an opportunity arises. Meanwhile, those who squander their time and earnings often miss the same chances, blaming fate. In other words, there's no such thing as blind luck in lasting wealth. Instead, success comes to those who study, prepare, act decisively when the moment is right. This aligns with modern behavioral economics and personal development ideas. That consistent action produces what we often call good luck. Chapter 14. Meeting the God of Gold. Spiritual Reflections. One of the deeper symbolic tales in the book is the fictional interaction with the so-called God of Gold. This is not a literal deity, but rather a personification of how wealth behaves, how it flows, how it resists carelessness, and how it responds to reverence. This story blends spirituality with economics, reminding us that gold respects order, gold flees chaos, gold stays with the wise. It's as though Clason is suggesting that money, like nature, has laws. Those who respect these laws flourish. Those who break them suffer. This parable hints that wealth creation is not merely practical, but deeply philosophical. It involves alignment with universal principles of order, justice, and foresight. Chapter 15. Lessons from Babylon's Fall. Though Clason's tales focus on the height of Babylon's prosperity, readers know that the real Babylon eventually fell. Though the book doesn't explicitly discuss this, the implication is clear. No city, kingdom, or person can retain wealth if they fall into indulgence, pride, or recklessness. Prosperity must be sustained, not simply created. Babylon's greatness came from infrastructure, commerce, discipline, and laws. Its decline came when these foundations eroded. For the modern reader, this is a caution. Maintaining wealth requires as much wisdom as acquiring it. Chapter 16. Applying Babylonian wisdom to modern life. Now let us interpret Clason's teachings for the modern age. While Babylon had gold coins and camels, today we have digital currency, mortgages, credit cards, and retirement accounts. But the principles are the same. 1. Pay yourself. First, put aside 10% or more of all earnings before rent, bills, or indulgences. Automate this if possible. This becomes your wealth-building engine. 2. Live below your means. Just as Arkad taught to distinguish needs from wants, today we must resist lifestyle inflation. The car, the house, the gadgets, these must not own you. 3. Invest wisely. Put your money to work. Invest in what you understand. Whether stocks, index funds, real estate, or businesses, learn first. Don't follow trends blindly. 4. Protect your wealth. Use insurance. Keep emergency funds. Diversify. Avoid speculative schemes. Prepare for what could go wrong, not just what could go right. 5. Grow your earning power education, skill building, certifications, networks. These increase your ability to earn. Wealth creation is not about cutting lattes. It's about becoming more valuable. 6. Stay teachable and humble. Wealth is not a destination, but a process. Each stage of life has new lessons. Be like Arkad, always learning, always improving. Chapter 17. Common Misinterpretations. Clason's work is timeless, but some readers misunderstand key points. Let's address a few. Misconception 1. Saving is enough. Truth. Saving is only the beginning. Money must be invested wisely to grow. Hoarding gold accomplishes nothing. Only productive use leads to true prosperity. Misconception 2. The rich get richer because of luck. Truth. Arkad wasn't born rich. He earned wealth through discipline. Clason consistently shows that wealth is created, not inherited, in his stories. Misconception 3. The book is outdated. Truth. While the setting is ancient, the principles are eternal. Money still requires the same habits. Earn more than you spend, invest the surplus, and protect your capital. Misconception 4. The book is about getting rich fast. Truth. Clason promises slow, steady wealth through principles. There's no trick or shortcut, just habits over time. Chapter 18. Character Profiles. Who's Who in Babylon. Understanding the personalities in Clason's parables can deepen one's appreciation of the stories. Arkad role. Teacher, the richest man in Babylon. Traits. Disciplined, wise, generous, reflective symbolism. The ideal wealth builder. Lesson. Long-term habits create security and influence. Dabasir role. Chariot builder. Represents the working class. Traits. Frustrated, curious, ready to change. Symbolism. The average struggler. Lesson. Asking the right questions is the start of wealth. Kobi role. Musician. Friend of Dabasir traits. Honest, skeptical, open-minded. Symbolism. The doubter lesson. Those who listen and learn improve Dabasir role. Former debtor turned successful man traits. Regretful, determined, honorable symbolism. Redemption and self-mastery. Lesson. Anyone can rebuild if they commit Mathon role. Wise moneylender traits. Cautious, experienced, discerning. Symbolism. Financial mentor. Lesson. Due diligence and risk assessment matter. Chapter 19. Legacy of George Clason's work. Though Clason passed away in 1957, his wisdom has rippled through generations. Modern financial influencers like Dave Ramsey, Suze Orman, Robert Kiyosaki, and even Warren Buffett echo many of the same truths found in Babylon. His book is now a standard in financial literacy courses, recommended reading and entrepreneurship required reading in some high schools and universities. Why? Because no matter how advanced the financial system becomes, the basics don't change. A part of all I earn is mine to keep. Gold flees the careless. Opportunity waits for no man. These truths are immutable. Chapter 20. Final Reflections. Building Your Babylon. As we conclude this part of our journey, let us remember that Babylon was not built in a day. Wealth is not about dollars. It is about discipline, time, and vision. To build your Babylon. Decide today to save something, however small. Begin to learn a skill that increases your income. Study wise investments, even if you don't invest yet. Live intentionally, not impulsively, and above all, share your knowledge. Teach others, as Arkad did, because wealth, rightly understood, is not hoarded. It is multiplied and shared. Part 4, Chapter 21, The Silent Enemy, Financial Ignorance. While George Clason never attacks institutions or governments directly, his message cuts deep into a hidden enemy, financial ignorance. He observed that many intelligent, hard-working people remain poor, not for lack of effort, but for lack of knowledge. Clason teaches us that ignorance of how money works is more dangerous than poverty itself. Just as Babylon's canals directed water to nourish the land, so must we direct our income wisely, or it evaporates. Clason believed financial literacy should be a foundational human skill like reading or writing. Without it, people are vulnerable to debt traps, scam investments, destructive spending, economic slavery. His antidote: education through story. He gave the world a blueprint disguised as ancient fiction. But behind the simplicity is this critical truth. The greatest threat to your financial freedom is not knowing what to do with money once you earn it. Chapter 22: The Parable of the Clay Tablets. One of the final and most symbolic stories in the book revolves around a set of ancient clay tablets discovered in the ruins of Babylon. These tablets contained financial records written by a man named Dabasir, son of Arkad. As Dabasir journeys to build his own fortune, his father refuses to give him wealth outright. Instead, Arkad gives him a bag of gold and a tablet of wisdom. He instructs Dabasir to return in 10 years and prove that he is capable. Initially, Dabasir misuses his gold, trusting the wrong people, investing unwisely, and suffering loss. But he turns back to the wisdom of the tablets and begins to rebuild using the principles of his father. Save, budget, invest cautiously, seek wisdom, avoid extravagance. By the time he returns to Babylon, Dabasir is wealthy, not just in gold, but in knowledge and character. This story is a powerful metaphor for every generation. The tablets symbolize the truths passed from parents to children, from teachers to students, and from books to readers. Wealth may be inherited, but wisdom must be earned. Chapter 23: Currency of the Heart. Values beyond gold. Although Clason's book is about money, it never strays far from character. In fact, the virtues most often praised are not financial: discipline, honor, patience, integrity, service. These are the real currency of the wise. Gold, Clason suggests, is only a tool. It amplifies the character of the one who holds it. A foolish man grows more foolish with gold. A wise man grows more powerful, for he uses it to build, protect, uplift, and prepare. This message is countercultural even today. In an age obsessed with quick success and material display, Clason calls us back to virtue as the true foundation of wealth. Chapter 24: The Principle of Time. Time is a recurring but subtle theme in The Richest Man in Babylon. Clason never rushes his characters. Arkad does not become rich overnight. Dabasir does not escape debt instantly. Rodan does not make a hasty decision. Dabasir takes 10 years to learn how to handle money. This is intentional. Clason teaches us that time is your greatest ally if you use it, and your greatest enemy if you waste it. Likewise, when you procrastinate, ignore small expenses, and delay responsibility, time compounds your losses. This lesson is best visualized in 2 scenarios. A person who saves and invests from age 20 to 30, then stops a person who waits until age 30 to start and continues until 60. Often, the first person ends up wealthier because time did more of the work. This is the secret most people miss. Time is a servant of discipline, but a tyrant to delay. Chapter 25: The Invisible Investments, Habits and Routines. While the book talks of gold and property, the real investments Arkad makes are in his habits. Let's explore them. 1. Daily review of finances. Arkad pays attention to his spending. Like a king checking his army, he knows where every coin goes. This mental habit ensures he lives intentionally. 2. Regular consultation with the wise. He seeks out elders, experts, and those more skilled than himself. In modern terms, this is mentorship, reading, and coaching. He never assumes he knows everything. 3. Living with less than he earns. This self-denial, practiced daily, gives him room to grow. Every surplus coin becomes a seed. This habit creates margin, something most people lack today. 4. Investment and reinvestment. Even as his wealth grows, Arkad reinvests. He trusts his system. He doesn't squander gains but multiplies them. He resists the urge to upgrade lifestyle prematurely. 5. Teaching others. Arkad shares his knowledge freely, not just as a teacher, but as a means of reinforcing his own principles. When you teach, you deepen your understanding. These invisible habits are the backbone of his visible fortune. Chapter 26. The Babylon Mindset vs. the Poverty Mindset. Clason's message goes beyond practical steps. It's about mindset transformation. The poverty mindset says, I can't afford it. The system is rigged. I don't earn enough. It's too late to start. Wealth is for the lucky. The Babylon mindset says, I will control my money. I will learn what I do not know. A part of all I earn is mine to keep. Time is on my side if I act. Wealth is a discipline, not a mystery. This mindset shift is the true power of Clason's work. He doesn't give answers, he gives perspectives, and perspective determines action. Chapter 27. Beyond Babylon. Global impact of the book. The Richest Man in Babylon is not merely an American or Western treasure. Its translation into dozens of languages has made it a global standard for personal finance. From Kenya to Korea, from India to Iceland, Clason's parables resonate. Why? Because every culture has workers trying to save. Every nation has debt. Every generation has dreamers and spenders. Every individual longs for freedom. In fact, many international microfinance organizations now use Clason's principles to teach financial discipline to women in developing nations, to small business owners in emerging markets, and to students around the world. It is proof that truth is universal when told in story. Chapter 28. The Power of Repetition. Clason repeats certain phrases and ideas again and again. This is intentional. A part of all you earn is yours to keep. Gold flees the careless. Opportunity waits for no man. Why? Because repetition is the mother of mastery. Our minds are trained through rhythm. Like proverbs or scripture, repeated lines become anchors for belief. Every time a reader hears these lines, they're reinforced. The message goes from head to heart to habit. In a world where attention is fragmented and content is shallow, Clason's repetition acts like a chisel, etching wisdom into stone. Chapter 29. A Call to Action. Writing Your Own Tablet. As we near the end of this section, we invite you to consider this. If you had to write your own tablet for your children, students, or community, what would it say? What lessons have you learned about earning, saving, giving, investing, living within your means, becoming trustworthy with wealth? Clason's power lies not in his originality, but in his courage to codify truth. You too can do this. Write down your financial principles. Reflect on your decisions. Teach someone else. Because wealth without wisdom fades. But wisdom, when written and passed down, endures for generations. Part 5. Chapter 30. The 3 Pillars of Lasting Wealth. George Clason's lessons can be grouped into 3 enduring pillars of wealth. These are not spelled out explicitly in the book, but are deeply embedded in every story, every character, and every piece of advice. 1. Wealth of principle. This is the foundational layer. Clason emphasizes discipline, order, and moral clarity. Wealth begins not in a bank, but in the heart. People like Arkad and Mathon were trusted because they had character. They honored their word, fulfilled promises, and avoided deception. The wealthy in Babylon did not just understand coin, they understood conduct. Without this principle-centered living, gold is dangerous. It enslaves, inflates pride, and isolates. 2. Wealth of practice. Principle is not enough. One must put it into action. Clason's characters save a portion of their income. These are not abstract ideas. They are practices, daily, weekly, monthly habits. Arkad, for instance, started with just 1/10 of his income and built an empire. Practice builds the muscle of wealth. 3. Wealth of purpose. Finally, wealth must serve something greater. Clason makes it clear that money is not the end, it's a means. In his stories, wealth is used to free oneself from debt, to help family, to build businesses, invest in what they understand, avoid borrowing without a plan, use caution when lending, plan for the future, to support the community. To provide security in old age, Arkad doesn't hoard. He teaches, he shares, he uplifts. His wealth serves a mission, not just luxury. Modern readers often chase riches for status or indulgence. Clason reminds us that wealth is a tool, and the noblest use of that tool is to bless others. Chapter 31. Becoming a money manager, not a money maker. One of Clason's most revolutionary ideas, though subtly presented, is the concept that wealth isn't about how much you make, but how well you manage what you make. In other words, income wealth. You can earn a modest wage and become wealthy through saving, investing, and patience. Or you can earn a king's salary and end up broke by spending and borrowing carelessly. This principle is seen in multiple characters. Dabasir and Kobe earn consistently, but save nothing. Dabasir, despite failure, rebuilds by managing every coin. Rodin nearly loses his fortune until he seeks guidance. Clason's stories break the myth that wealth is only for the elite or highly educated. His message is empowering. Anyone, anywhere, with any income, can grow wealthy through stewardship. Chapter 32. The Cost of Delay. Another subtle theme in The Richest Man in Babylon is the high price of waiting. Most of Clason's characters struggle because they delay taking control of their finances. Dabasir doesn't act until he becomes a slave. Dabasir loses his gold before learning the tablets. Even Arkad admits he wasted early years before discovering the 10% principle. Clason's point is clear. The longer you wait, the more difficult the path becomes. Procrastination robs people of compound interest, of lessons, and of peace of mind. It leads to desperation rather than discipline. There is always a price to pay, either the pain of discipline today or the pain of regret tomorrow. Chapter 33. A Proverbial Masterpiece. Clason wrote his parables in proverbial style, not just in form, but in function. Much like the Book of Proverbs or ancient Eastern texts, each tale contains condensed truth. Better a little caution than a great regret. Wealth grows wherever men exert energy. A lean purse is easier to cure than a broken reputation. These are not mere lines. They are mental tools. They stick. They teach. They come to mind during decision-making. This stylistic approach makes the book ideal for rereading. With each pass, the reader sees new depths, like polishing a stone that reveals a gem inside. The book is short, but its wisdom is inexhaustible. Chapter 34. Financial Stability as a Form of Freedom. Clason suggests, implicitly, that financial security is not about riches, but about freedom. In Babylon, the debtor is a slave regardless of status. The saver is free, even if his purse is small. This is a radical idea. In today's world, many chase wealth for display, cars, clothes, homes. But Clason defines wealth as the ability to live without fear, to not dread the end of the month, to not worry about retirement, to not lose sleep over emergencies. This is true wealth, peace of mind, and it's available not just to the rich, but to the wise. Chapter 35. Financial Discipline as a Spiritual Practice. Clason often presents financial discipline with a near-spiritual tone. Arkad speaks of respect for gold. Dabasir repents of his financial sins. Mathon talks about gold as a sacred trust. In modern terms, managing money becomes a spiritual practice. It requires self-control. It fosters gratitude. It promotes service to others. It reveals our values. When we spend thoughtlessly, we lose connection to purpose. When we save and give intentionally, we become conscious stewards. Clason invites us to see wealth as a divine responsibility, not a material obsession. Chapter 36. The Role of Women in Babylonian Parables. Although Clason's book is written in the early 20th century and reflects the gender norms of his time, several female figures appear as silent influencers. Dabasir's wife refuses to accept his excuses, calling him to maturity. The wife of a merchant maintains the household through wise management. The sister of Roden pleads for financial support, raising questions of trust. While not always central, women in Babylon stories represent emotional intelligence, accountability, and balance. Modern readers can expand this role, recognizing that financial wisdom is genderless. In today's world, women lead households, businesses, and nations in applying these principles. Clason's stories, when viewed through this lens, invite inclusion, reminding us that everyone needs and deserves financial wisdom. Chapter 37. Suggested Modern Babylonian Practices. To translate Clason's lessons into the 21st century, here are some modern Babylonian practices you can adopt. 1. Use 10-20-70. Budgeting 10% savings, minimum, 20% debt repayment or investment, 70% living expenses. This model is simple but powerful. Start where you can and build up. 2. Create a monthly gold report. Just as Arkad knew the state of his finances, you can keep a monthly gold report. Net income savings rate, investment growth debt reduction. 3. Read one financial book per year. Continue learning. Just like Arkad grew by study and mentorship, so must we. 4. Build your counsel of the wise, seek advice. Form relationships with those who've managed money well. Avoid echo chambers. 5. Teach the next generation. Whether your children, nieces, nephews, or community, pass on the wisdom. Become the Arkad in your circle. Chapter 38. The story behind the richest man in Babylon lies George Clason's own journey. He wasn't a billionaire. He didn't build tech empires. He was a map maker and a writer. Yet his work has influenced millions, outlasting stock tips, newsletters, and financial fads. Why? Because Clason wrote with a singular goal: to give people back control of their lives through simple financial principles. he saw a world of working people drowning in debt, desperate for direction. And rather than scold them, he gave them a story, a gift. His life is proof that one idea, told clearly and kindly, can change the world. Part 6. Chapter 39, Dollars Behind the Story, Understanding Clason's Impact Over Time. Since its first release in 1926, The Richest Man in Babylon has sold millions of copies worldwide, been translated into dozens of languages, become a staple recommendation in financial literacy programs, business training, and personal development. Some modern experts reference him directly. Robert Kiyosaki cites Babylon as a foundational reading for entrepreneurs. Dave Ramsey recommends the 7 Cures and 5 Laws as basics in his counseling. Warren Buffett has echoed the truth that you don't need a high income to become wealthy, a philosophy central to Arkad's story. In a volatile world of markets and currencies, one book has remained steady, this one. Chapter 40, Practical Roadmap, Your Babylonian Journey. If Arkad were advising you today, he might offer this rough roadmap. Start with awareness. Review your income, spending, debt, and savings. Write everything down. Adopt the first cure. Commit to saving at least 10% immediately. Automate it where possible. Budget thoughtfully. Separate needs from wants. Apply the 10-20-70 rule or similar proportions. Seek knowledge. Read financial books. Watch educational content. Attend workshops. Invest prudently. Start with low-risk vehicles you understand. If unsure, consult a mentor or advisor. Protect your wealth. Create an emergency fund. 3 out of 6 months' expenses. Use appropriate insurance, document wills, trusts, and succession plans. Maintain discipline review. Monthly. Avoid impulsive spending. Reinforce habits annually. Teach and share past principles to others. Practice giving, time, money, wisdom. This roadmap echoes ancient wisdom in modern clothes. Chapter 41. Common Pitfalls. What Derails Babylonian Discipline. Even inspired readers can stumble. Here are common errors, and how Clason's principles guard against them. Falling for get-rich-quick schemes. Clason warns, gold flees the greedy, ignoring inflation or market volatility. He teaches diversification and caution. Ignoring tax and legal implications. Though not explicit in Babylon, his focus on advisors supports this borrowing without a plan. Debt is not wealth. It enslaves lifestyle creep. Without self-control, rising income is often matched or exceeded by rising expenses. Clason's framework remains relevant because human behavior resists clarity, easy gains are seductive, and discipline is hard. Chapter 42. Real-world examples inspired by Clason. Let's briefly explore modern individuals and communities transformed by Babylonian wisdom. Micro-entrepreneurs in Africa and Asia who use simple budgeting and lending techniques, often tracing inspiration back to Clason's parables. Teachers in schools assigning the book to students aged 15-18 to instill early discipline. Financial coaches who begin sessions by asking, which cure or law do you need to apply today? These examples show that Clason's work, once pamphlets for banks, now shapes conversations from boardrooms to rural villages. Chapter 43. Babylon for Families. Building Legacy and Generational Wealth. In The Richest Man in Babylon, Arkad not only achieves personal wealth, he prepares his children through the clay tablets and direct instruction. In modern terms, write your own clay tablet. A clear set of financial principles to pass down. Involve youth early. Let teens manage small budgets. Allow mistakes and guided recovery. Discuss money honestly. Families often avoid it. Arcad confronts it head-on. Model behavior. Rather than lecturing, demonstrate saving, investing, giving, and planning. This approach fosters not just financial literacy, but character, responsibility, and self-respect. A family that learns together grows together. Chapter 44. Personal Testimonials. Stories of Transformation. Over the decades, readers have shared how the book changed their lives. A woman who paid off student loans in 5 years using the 20% debt repayment principle. A young couple who used the 10% saving rule to fund a home down payment in 3 years. A retired professional who rebuilds financial peace after career loss by restarting with the first cure. Though the names change, the process remains the same. Consistent savings, careful spending, wise investment, and protection. Clason's parables have helped millions see and walk the path. Chapter 45. Reflections for today's masses. In the digital era, we juggle apps, credit cards, subscriptions, and algorithms trying to upsell us. Clason's message cuts through the noise. Build buffer, not buzz. Multiply savings, not likes. Seek wisdom, not hype. As voiceover narration, this section might sound like, in a world obsessed with instant gratification, let our Babylonian tale remind us, every coin saved is a future secured. Every lesson learned is a legacy begun. Chapter 46. A Final Parable. Your future tablet. Imagine 5 years from now, your personal tablet reads, I saved 10% of every income. I reduced debt via regular plan. I understand where my money goes. I invested in something I can explain. I funded an emergency reserve. I taught someone else these principles. If your tablet reads this, you will have built not just wealth, but calm. Legacy, not regret. Chapter 47. Epilogue. Voiceover closing. Thus ends our journey through Babylon, the teachings of Arcad, Dabasir, Mathon, and others. They lived and taught long ago, yet their voices echo today. You may never walk the streets of ancient Babylon, but if you follow their counsel, saving faithfully, investing wisely, guarding your treasure, and extending your wisdom, you will build a city in your soul, a city of financial stability, moral character, and enduring purpose. May your purse grow fat, your life remain disciplined, and your legacy be worthy of the story. Part 7. Chapter 48. Timeless Principles for a Digital Age. While The Richest Man in Babylon was written nearly a century ago, its enduring value lies in the timelessness of its principles. Let's explore how these principles translate in today's digital economy. Start thy purse to fattening. Use automation. Set up automatic savings transfers to a high-yield savings account. Apps like Chime, Acorns, and Digit modernize Arcad's first cure. Control thy expenditures. Use tracking tools. Budgeting apps like YNAB, Mint, and Monarch help track every shekel. Avoid lifestyle inflation despite promotions or side gigs. Make thy gold multiply. Invest, don't just save Roth IRAs, ETFs, dividend stocks, the gold that multiplies. Clason would applaud the modern diversification tools available. Guard thy treasures from loss. Cybersecurity and insurance Arcad would urge password managers, two-factor authentication, and proper digital hygiene. Don't leave your digital Babylon vulnerable. Ensure a future income. Side hustles and retirement planning. Gig economy, passive income, and real estate investments can be your modern equivalents of Babylonian land leases. Increase thy ability to earn. Upskill regularly, Arkad said, "A man's wealth is not in the purse he carries, but in the income he builds." Today, enroll in online courses, learn to code, acquire certifications. Chapter 49, Babylon vs. Now. A modern parable. Imagine this. Two friends, Chris and Jordan, both earn $5,000 a month. Chris spends $4,800 monthly, saving $200. Jordan saves $500 and invests it monthly in index funds. After 5 years, Chris has $12,000 saved. Jordan has nearly $35,000, thanks to compounding. What made the difference? Not income, not luck, just discipline, consistency, and delayed gratification. Exactly what Clason's parables teach. Chapter 50. Babylonian Wisdom for Young People. If you're under 30, you're in the prime window to absorb Babylonian wisdom. Here's how to apply the principles early. Start saving 10% of every paycheck, no matter how small. Learn how compound interest works. Use calculators, simulations. Avoid credit card debt like Babylonian plagues. Read one finance book per quarter. Build wisdom like Arkad. Ask mentors about money. Avoid the silence most families maintain. If young people start now, they won't just survive, they'll thrive. Chapter 51. The Power of Storytelling in Finance. Why has the richest man in Babylon endured while countless textbooks gather dust? Because story moves the soul. A few reasons why narrative teaching works. We remember characters, Arkad, Dabasir, better than concepts. We feel emotionally connected to their struggles and triumphs. Stories make the abstract real. This is why personal finance teachers, coaches, and preachers still read these ancient tales to new generations. They resonate in the heart first. Then, the wallet. Chapter 52. The Virtues Clason Silently Champions. Though the book is about money, underneath the surface lies a curriculum in self-control. You cannot keep wealth if you cannot manage desire. Patience. Babylon was not built in a day, neither is fortune. Gratitude. Even when poor, Arkad was thankful for work, for mentors. Integrity. The best debtors, like Dabasir, repaid what they owed despite struggle. Courage. To begin again, to invest, to trust in future returns. These are virtues that lead to financial success, not just skills. Wealth is character in action. Chapter 53. A Global Movement. Babylon Across Cultures. Since its release, Clason's book has been adapted into classroom curricula from Nigeria to New Zealand, printed in prison systems to teach rehabilitation through responsibility, assigned by employers to onboard new employees with financial literacy, gifted at weddings, graduations, and confirmations as a roadmap to self-sufficiency. Why? Because everyone, everywhere struggles with managing money and dreams of mastery. Clason didn't write for bankers. He wrote for laborers, dreamers, and the ordinary man and woman who seeks control, freedom, and peace. Chapter 54. When Babylon Feels Far Away. What if your current life feels like anything but Babylon? Maybe you're drowning in debt. Maybe saving 10% seems impossible. Maybe you've made poor choices, and you're ashamed. Clason's message is this. The past is clay. Mold it into bricks for your future. Start now. Save $1. Track every expense. Pay off $10 of your debt this week. That small act of discipline is a brick in your new wall. You are not too late. Babylon is not far away. Chapter 55. The Final Accounting. What you'll remember. Save first, always. Spend less than you earn. Invest only what you understand. Protect your money. Be generous. Learn continuously. Start now. These principles are not new. They are eternal, and they will build your Babylon one coin at a time. Chapter 56. Babylon Built in You. Let's close this section with a voiceover tone of reflective encouragement. You do not need to walk the streets of Babylon to be its citizen. Every choice you make, each act of saving, each wise investment, each debt repaid, is a brick in your temple. You are building a life of dignity, abundance, and stewardship. So let the stories of Arkad, Dabasir, and their brothers not fade in your mind. Let them echo. Let them guide your hands as you labor to build a fortune, not just in gold, but in freedom. Part 8, Chapter 57, Your 7-Year Financial Blueprint. Inspired by Clason's eternal wisdom, here's a practical 7-year plan you can follow step by step to transform your finances just as Arkad did. Year 1, discipline and awareness. Track every dollar. Save at least 10% of your income, non-negotiable. Read 3 personal finance books. Create a written monthly budget. Year 2, debt elimination. Tackle debt using the snowball or avalanche method. Negotiate lower interest rates where possible. Avoid all new debt unless absolutely necessary. Year 3, build and grow savings. Save at least 3 months' worth of expenses. Automate your savings and pay yourself first. Understand compound interest deeply. Start a Roth IRA or similar retirement fund. Year 4, learn to invest wisely. Educate yourself about index funds, ETFs, and basic stock investing. Avoid speculative ventures. Follow Arkad's advice. Invest only where you understand. Begin with modest, diversified investments. Year 5, expand your earnings. Acquire a new skill to increase income. Coding, copywriting, trades, certifications. Explore side hustles or small business ventures. Invest in your professional development. Year 6, create passive income. Real estate, dividend stocks, royalties, or digital products. Aim to build at least one stream of income that doesn't require your daily presence. Learn from mentors, podcasts, and case studies. Year 7, teach and steward. Mentor someone younger or newer on the journey. Create a giving plan. Support causes you care about. Reflect on your growth and pass it on. 7 years to build a new Babylon with your name on the gate. Chapter 58, The Problem with Modern Finance Education. Clason's legacy also reveals a troubling truth. Most schools don't teach us about money. We learn geometry and literature, but not how to budget, how to file taxes, how to avoid lifestyle inflation, how to think long-term. Clason's parables fill the gap. And they do it with grace, story, and soul. That's why the book still matters in classrooms and homes. If you were never taught these principles growing up, know this: it is not your fault, but it is your responsibility now. Chapter 59. If you fail, start again. Everyone fails. Even Dabasir, the camel trader, was buried in debt and shame. But he turned it around. He started repaying, bit by bit, brick by brick. Where the determination is, the way can be found. Clason. If you've made money mistakes, filed bankruptcy, borrowed unwisely, or felt hopeless, you can begin anew. Start with $1 saved, 1 meal cooked instead of ordered, 1 debt paid down. 1 day of resolve. Babylon is not for the perfect, it's for the persistent. Chapter 60. What the richest man in Babylon teaches about character. Money is not the root of wealth. Character is. Arkad wasn't born rich. He developed habits. saving, investing wisely, self-control, learning from mentors, saying no to foolishness. And in doing so, he gained riches. This is the true promise of Babylon. You don't need luck. You need character in motion. Chapter 61. For the entrepreneur, Babylonian business lessons. If you're a business owner or entrepreneur, the richest man in Babylon has wisdom for you. Offer value first. Arkad became wealthy by giving King Sargon advice that worked. Reinvest wisely. Don't squander profits. Grow them. Guard against overexpansion. Babylon fell when it got overextended. So do businesses. Build trust. Your name is your greatest currency. Let Babylon be your silent business mentor. Chapter 62. The spiritual side of wealth. Clason never preached a religion, but his parables echo a deep spiritual resonance. Wealth is not just for comfort. It is for service. Generosity is not optional. It is moral. Greed leads to ruin. Discipline leads to peace. Even Arkad gave to the temple and to the poor. Babylon was not a place of hoarding, but of stewardship. Wealth is a tool for good when the heart is guided by wisdom. Chapter 63. The Legacy of George S. Clason. Let's not forget the man behind the parables. George S. Clason was a soldier, businessman, and author who published The Richest Man in Babylon in 1926. His goal was simple: to teach ordinary people how to gain financial independence through timeless truth. He believed story would make truth stick. Wealth could be for everyone, not just the elite. The past could teach the present. He left behind no monuments, but his words built millions of financial Babylons in minds and hearts worldwide. Chapter 64. The reader becomes the richest man. You have now absorbed not just the book, but the meaning behind it. You have met Arkad, who mastered money through learning and discipline; Dabasir, who rose from debt to dignity; Rodan, who struggled with generosity and wisdom; Kobi, who sought mentorship, and in them, you've seen yourself. Their struggles are yours. Their choices mirror yours, and now their wisdom is yours. Chapter 65. Final declarations for the modern Babylonian. Let's close with declarations you can record, repeat, and embody. I will pay myself first. I will control my expenses. I will multiply my money wisely. I will protect what I have earned. I will ensure a future income. I will increase my ability to earn. I will teach others what I have learned. These are the 7 cures. Let them live in your heart and actions. Chapter 66. A final word from Arkad. Wealth is not the result of chance. It is the offspring of purpose, discipline, and wisdom. Go now, and build your Babylon.